What's going on, Niner fam? It is a beautiful day in the US. It's a beautiful day in the NFL. Beautiful day for the 40 be a 49er fan. But we're gonna get it started, and I'm just reminding you that this is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. What's going on? Once again, Niner fam. This is Peter Lucas, and this is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Such a happy day. I think a few people were kind of worried about this game, me included, about how our rookie quarterback was going to look, and look at what happened. I mean, everything is sunshine and roses. It was such a really good performance by Brock Purdy and by this team in general. I don't want to I feel like this team is really kind of galvanized around Brock Purdy, and the fact that I think that this is what we've all felt like this offense was capable of. And it's just really weird that it took a rookie quarterback, seventh round pick, to bring this offense into fruition. I mean, it we haven't had a game like this to where the game was never in doubt and there was just never any worry about the game, and that we were just kind of manhandling our opponent. I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember the last time we had a game like this. And man, I'm just so ecstatic about the performance overall by the team. But I mean, I was jumping up and down like I'm sure a lot of you out there were. And oh man, Brock Purdy. I got to get started before, and I'm going to mention a couple of people in the chat, but like, hey, Brock Purdy. And like, I loved the fact that they kept to the TV broadcast kept panning over to his parents, and seeing his dad kind of get choked up, because I'm a parent. I know that some of you guys are out there are parents, and the feeling when our kid does well at something, at anything, really, we all get a little emotional. And I know that the parents out there felt the heartstrings being pulled, and because I knew exactly what that father was feel. Obviously my kid is 5, he's not, my boy is 5, he's not in the NFL. But the sheer emotion of seeing them do well at something, and for the whole world to see, is, I mean, it almost gets me choked up just thinking about it right now. But hey, I want to say what's up to Jesus. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you, Niner Gang. Melissa, thank you for coming in. You always come through in the clutch, and like, appreciate you for coming in. But yeah, and I know that there are a ton of other shows going on, instant reaction shows going out there right now. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. It was a beautiful game. And not that, and this is the thing, and us Niner fans are so excited about Brock Purdy's performance. But the man only threw for 100, and I think it was 195 yards, 185 yards. And he had 2 touchdowns. He should have had a pick on one. I mean, let's just be honest. He should have had one pick. But it's it said a lot. This game said a lot about this man. He only threw the ball 21 times, but I don't even think he played in the fourth quarter. So it's to get the ball into his playmakers' hands, and even to make a couple of ridiculous throws, throws that we hadn't seen from our quarterbacks in a while. The one to CMC was a dime. That was a dime. And for him to be hit in the face while he's throwing it. And then he had another one. The one to Ayuk, he got hit in the face as he was throwing it. Like it's and not that one was a little behind him because Ayuk had just burnt his man so much that it was just yeah, like all he had to do was put it on Ayuk. But to Purdy's credit, I mean, he even showed off a lot of the athleticism. I was surprised at how much athleticism he actually has and how much zip on the throws he actually has. The accuracy for the most part. I mean, he went for 16 for 21, but it looked real. It was really efficient. Efficient is the best word for it. And then he made a couple of plays when he needed to make them with his feet and with a throw under duress. So it man, Aye. It was, hey, I appreciate you, Corey, for coming in. I remember seeing you from the show I had with Kev. Appreciate you coming through and checking out the show. But yeah, let's just start. I'm starting off with Brock Purdy because I know that all of us are really excited about seeing him perform, especially for a second game, because we knew that the Buccaneers they don't have the greatest defense, but I think it was a step up from the defense they played last week in Miami. And before I go any further, because I always forget to do this, please like, subscribe, share the love with your friends. Like, let them know about the show. Tell their friends to let their friends know about the show. I really appreciate you guys for doing that. Make sure that and I'm on YouTube. You can catch the show on Twitter. You can also catch the show on Facebook. Also, you can get the audio version anywhere where you can get your podcasts. So appreciate you guys coming in, but make sure you give a like and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, but back to Purdy. Purdy, man. And what's going on, Damien? Appreciate you coming in. And it's Purdy was just so efficient. I mean, there's no other word for him. He made that running game go because he was hitting those receivers, especially early on. And CMC, it opened up. You saw it opened up lanes for CMC, and I think Kyle learned his lesson from the past couple of weeks with CMC. You saw them doing a whole bunch of toss plays in this game. There wasn't as much running up the middle, up into a wall. There was a few because, of course, they've got to do it just to keep the defense guessing. But for the most part, they did a lot of outside runs in this game, and I thought that was you saw it. That's CMC's bread and butter, and gives him an opportunity to cut back, gives him cut back lanes, and I just thought it was a really good game plan by Kyle. And I don't want to go much further without recognizing that, it's a bittersweet, of course, because of what happened with Debo. It's hard not to be excited about this win. They won 35-7. They beat Brady, the GOAT. And this defense kept him at bay and it was kind of the same thing that we saw last game. That D'Amico, it almost feels like his coverage, the different coverages that he uses, it just kind of confuses quarterbacks, and because they leave guys open all the time, but it's almost like they don't see the open guy until it's too late. So it's just really weird. And it's just enough. It's just they keep everybody covered just enough to where the defensive line can at least get close to the quarterback and get pressure on them and pressure those throws. Because you saw it all game with Brady. He was not able to stay on his spot. He was complaining to the refs the whole game. And I mean, it is what it is. The 49ers just did a really good. D'Amico did a really good job. This defense did a really good job. But I just want to go back to Debo for a minute. I feel really bad for Debo because, the whole running back, the whole wide back thing is his way of helping the team. There's not many wide receivers out there that would be okay with being used as a running back. And I'm not going to complain about Kyle's usage of Debo, running him up the middle and that kind of stuff. It is football. I agree. I'm also not going to pretend like I've been okay with him running him up the middle this whole time, but that's Kyle's game plan. That's our coach, and that's the way he chooses to use these guys. And when it works, it's beautiful. But when we've got a situation like this, and we're sitting there wondering why all of our players are injured, I, I don't know, I don't know where else you would look. But like I said, I'm not blaming Kyle for this injury. It was a freak play. It was a freak accident play, and Debo's foot got caught underneath the pile, and it is what it is. I'm hoping, we're hoping that we haven't lost him for the season. I hope for Debo, because I really feel like this team has a chance. And they do have a chance this season, and it's like I think that Purdy has done a really great job in these two games of just doing what people have said, like just being that point guard and just getting the ball out quick, making decisive decisions, getting the ball out quick. He hits guys in stride. He doesn't throw a lot of hospital balls. Now he did throw a few high ones, but he throws catchable balls, and I just, and from different arm angles, and it's really it's really fun to watch. It's just fun to watch, and I just enjoy watching him play the position and watch him play with all of these weapons that the 49ers have. But I saw somebody say on Twitter earlier that, now that if Debo's out for the season or whatever the case is, that's it for the 49ers. That's not it for the 49ers. I think that this team has so much talent on it that they can get production from elsewhere. And we had a Jordan Mason sighting. I'm not quite sure how many. He had 11 carries. He's getting more and more carries every game. But once again, average carry, and it's just it it's it's comical almost at this point why Jordan Mason doesn't get the ball earlier. I feel like the only reason why he got in the game today was to close out the game to get CMC off the field. And I mean, CMC had 14 carries, so it wasn't, he didn't have a ton of usage, as in like I mean, 14 carries is 14 carries. I'm just happy that he's not running it up the gut over and over and over and running him into walls. I'm happy with that. He wasn't as much a part of the passing game in this. He only had 2 catches, but you saw him with enough wiggle and enough ability to make the first guy miss, which was just huge. Like, and then they had the one really long play, um, the 27 yarder that he had for the touchdown. That was just that was mostly CMC. And he made a great move. I believe he made a stiff arm on that one just to get enough separation, and we saw a little burst. I was pleasantly surprised by the burst. But let's get to some of these comments. Like I said, I really appreciate you guys coming in. Like but Damien says, we need somebody to fill DJ Jones' spot. Our middle has been getting exposed. What about Sheldon Richardson? Like, I think that they're gonna probably bring some guys in. That's because, I mean, losing Kevin Givens was huge in that game. We're without Hassan Ridgeway already. And then you saw Kerry Hyder went down late. Hopefully that's not serious. He's been a steady player for the 49ers all season. So I'm really interested in to see this injury report come tomorrow and find out what uh what is the extent of, especially the Debo injury. I'm worried about that one. Not that the 49ers season is over, but I want Debo to be a main reason for this team to go far in the playoffs. I just really like Debo, and I know that my prayers are going up to that guy I just really want him to do well. He got paid, and now it's time for him to see the fruits of his labor. So, but um, Jesus says we need to criticize Kyle for running Debo. There was no need to. Like I mentioned earlier, it's I don't necessarily blame Kyle for running Debo because a lot of time it works. We can't always expect for Kyle to do exactly what we want him to do, just because in my mind, I don't want to see Debo run up the middle because he's going up against defensive tackles and defensive ends and defensive linemen in general and linebackers coming in. Like in my mind, you run him to the outside because he has the juice to get outside, and then he's going against defensive backs and linebackers. But I would rather him not have to go up against defensive tackles and defensive linemen up the middle. But I also cannot blame Kyle if it works. So when it works, it looks great, and then we get upset and we get all excited because Debo makes a huge run. And but then when it doesn't work and we have a situation like this, now we have a problem. And I never like to be short-sighted about that. Like I've always said that I don't like them running up the middle with Debo. But it is what it is. Like I don't necessarily blame Kyle because it was working. Yeah, I mean it's worked in the past. So like you can't blame him to do something that's worked in the past. So it is football, and we all understand that. So, but then we've got Jesus also said we're overhyping Purdy. I'm not really hyping Purdy. I know that I'm excited and I sound excited. I think a lot of people you're going to see a lot of excitement over these next, probably until all the way up until Thursday, and probably through Thursday. But I think we're just excited to see the offense clicking. Like we haven't seen this offense click all season. We've been begging Kyle for an identity for this team. And Purdy is, and as much as we applauded Jimmy for playing better than we had seen him play in the past, and keeping the interceptions down, like the turnovers down. I mean, Purdy's playing. I feel like he's playing better. I feel like Purdy is doing all the things that we thought Jimmy should have been doing by now. And it's just crazy because he's a rookie. It's just a great story. Like it's not about hype, it's just about enjoying the moment. Enjoying the moment and enjoying the victory, enjoying having our quarterback play well and making plays. Like you can't tell me that you weren't excited by that throw to CMC. You can't tell me that you weren't excited and jumping off the couch like when he make that throw to Ayuk. It's just about being excited and being joyful about the moment. That's all. Like but and Jesus also said that, the Bucks have been up and down all year. And that's true. We can only beat the people that are in front of the 49ers can only beat the teams that are in front of them. And the reality is their defense hadn't been playing bad. Like for the majority, they're running the run. They didn't play well against the run, but overall for the year. But remember that that their that their offense isn't scoring a lot of points either. So they're on the field a lot. So it's I just don't think that defense was really as bad as other defenses that we've played. Like I don't think the 49ers have played a really good defense except for that New Orleans. I thought that New Orleans defense was really good. Uh that in my opinion, I thought that their ability to just rush four was huge for them. But the and this is a great point by Jesus. Hey, like we can agree to disagree on the other things, but this is absolutely you've got on point. Bucks made a horrible flag plays early on that threw them off. They were all over the place, and their penalties just, I mean, it kept that the one holding penalty where the guy just blatantly held, I believe it was Jordan Willis. It, I mean, it negated a touchdown because it was a blown coverage by Hufanga again. And this is, you know, it's been working out. It's been working out in the 49ers' favor, but and I don't want to get down on Huff at all because he made some plays in this game. That one hit that he put on that receiver towards the end of the game. I mean, he just sets the tone. And but with Huff's style, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have a blown coverage here and there. And he's not gonna be, it's not gonna be perfect coverage all the time because he's going off of instinct and it is what it is. But I think that the 49ers absolutely did get lucky on a couple of plays, but I mean, they still would have blown, it would have been 35-21 at the worst, at worst. So they still would have blown them out. And that's the way I kind of look at it. Tampa Bay has some big issues with their offense. Their offense looks completely discombobulated. They very much, like I just mentioned about our issues with the 49ers offense earlier in the season, looks like they don't have an identity. Brady doesn't look like he's in sync with any of his receivers. I'll be honest. And it could have been the 49ers throwing him off, but I just feel like they've struggled all season and they're still struggling. I mean, Brady threw it 55 times in this game because they can't run the ball. They still had 56 yards rushing, and I mean, Rashad White was averaging 4.3 yards a carry. I guess they had 69 yards rushing, but Rashad White, he looks good. I'd be rushing him more than I would be Leonard Fournette. He looked like a much better running back than Leonard Fournette in my opinion. But this is not a Buccaneers show. This is a 49ers show. So we're going to go back to the 49ers and enjoy this win. But Damian says that this game reminded him of the game when Nick Mullins beat the Raiders before they went to Vegas. You know, it does. But I will tell you the difference. And a lot of people brought up Nick Mullins when it came to Brock Purdy. I will tell you the difference between this team and the team that Nick Mullins had back then. The huge difference. The team Nick Mullins had was really banged up. Very little weapons at all, and the offensive line was terrible. So it's a little bit different of a situation because Purdy has got weapons for days. Even without Debo, he's still got Kittle. He's still got Ayuk. He's still got CMC. They've still got Jordan Mason. They've still got, I mean, they're finding ways to get even Ray. You saw Ray get a little bit more run in this game towards the end. And I think they're going to be using him a lot. Danny Gray got his first catch of the season, which is crazy to say. But I think that we're going to get a chance to see some of these other guys get a shot. And I think Juwan Jennings is going to be in the mix on that too. This team has weapons. This is not that team back in 2020. It's crazy to think that was only a couple of years ago, but this is a different team. And Brock just has to get the ball to the open guy and let those guys do what they do. You know what I'm saying? So, let's get to some of these other comments. But yeah, like Jesus was saying, run Davis, Price, and Coleman. Hopefully not. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think I don't want to see Coleman on the field. If Coleman's on the field, then that means we've gone through we have no healthy running backs. So not that Coleman was bad in the spot duty that he had this season, but he's a lot like Jeff Wilson, and he's just a lot, in my opinion, he's a lot of mid. And I'm interested to see how they're going to do this from here on out, because I mean, Coleman was active for this game. They could have had him in there, but they decided to run the ball at the end of this game with Jordan Mason. And so I take that as a plus. As a way to get that kid some more reps, get him ready for this stretch run, and maybe we may see him get more involved in the game plan early on, because I think that's gonna be really good for the 49ers early on to give those big body blows by Mason and making those that the defenses have to tackle. I think that's going to be huge. So But the yeah, Jesus also said Niners catching some teams on the downside of the season. Absolutely. I mean, but they can only beat the people that are in front of them. There's a lot of teams catching teams on the bad side of their season. And I mean, it is what it is. Like, this is the NFL. Every team is coming out there, unless you're the Texans, coming out to win. I mean, Texans did everything they could to lose that game today. I don't know if y'all watched that Texans versus Cowboys game, but that was you couldn't mismanage that any worse than what they did. But uh my boy Adam Gonzalez in the house. Appreciate you coming through, my brother. Jerry Rice was passed off the way Kyle treats his skill players. Yeah, luckily, yeah, Jerry. I don't know how Jerry would have been used in Kyle's offense today. It would be. I mean, I'm guessing he would use him like Ayuk, but yeah, I'm just glad we don't have to worry about that. Jerry's the GOAT, and he will always remain the GOAT because of the offense he was in and because of the quarterbacks that he had. And even the quarterbacks that, even when he didn't have great quarterbacks, that man performed. So, I mean, Jerry's the GOAT for a reason. But the Josh says screw Tom Brady. And when I say screw him, I mean like 35-7 in his second homecoming ever, kind of screw Tom Brady. Hey, there's going to be a lot of people that think that way. There's a lot of people that can't stand Tom. And but I echo your sentiment. I said on my pregame that I'm a Tom Brady. I'm a Tom Brady fan. Like I like the guy from a quarterback perspective. I mean, because I'm a Michigan fan, so go blue, all that good stuff. But so I have to root for my Michigan players. But at the same time, when he comes to 49ers house, like, I mean, I don't know him. And it's time, it's time for him to take a beating, which he took a beating in this game. And I'm interested to see what that the injury to his thumb, because he hit that I'm trying to remember which defensive player he hit his helmet, but he hit somebody's helmet and with his throwing hand. And from that point forward, he was kind of a little bit off on his throws. So that's an interesting look for Tampa Bay. They may be out of contention soon enough. And but we've got, and then of course, Jesus said Lance. I want to reiterate that point. This is still Trey Lance's team. No matter how Brock Purdy looks, how good Brock Purdy looks, this is Trey Lance's team. And even if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, I would fully expect them to give Trey Lance every opportunity to be the starting quarterback in come next season. I think that they spent entirely too many resources for a 7th round rookie to come up and take that job from him. I think that is just a given. And I pull for Brock, love Brock to death. Like, I mean, the guy has played great in 2 games, but let's just whoa the ship. Like, just whoa the horses right now. Like, it's fine to enjoy the wins. And honestly, I think it's maybe our second dominating performance of the season. It's great to enjoy those things, but at the same time, it's still Trey's team. And I think we're going to see another jump from Trey if Kyle decides to give him the same game plan that he's giving Brock and Jimmy. I think that's the key with Trey Lance, is that he needs to be given the same game plan. He doesn't need to be used as a running back. Like, I think that's beneath him a little bit. Like, so in my opinion. And but oh, I see some guys going at it in the chat, so I'm going to go past that. But I would say I want to bring up we talked about the running backs for a little bit. We talked about the defense was just incredible. The defensive line, even when because Bosa, you notice he missed a lot of snaps. I think they were trying to keep him fresher because we have another game on Thursday night against the Seahawks. and so they wanted to keep him somewhat fresh. And he did have some injury issues beginning of the week, so I'm really happy that they kind of kept him. They paced him, and the defensive line was still able to get pressure. Ebicom got pressure. Eric Armstead got pressure. Uh, like the defensive line, for the most part, I mean, there was a few times in the second half where they were obviously you could see that the Tampa Bay went no huddle, and they you could see them getting tired, and it was getting harder and harder for them to build momentum to get to the quarterback. But for the most part, I thought the defensive line did a great job. Our linebackers are unmatched in this league. I don't care what anybody has to say about that. Like they are. Uh, oh, Josh says he totally disagrees. If Purdy wins the Super Bowl, Lance is not the quarterback in 2023. I'm not one. We blew Tom Brady's Bucks harder than Giselle Victoria. Whoa, nothing. I love it. I love the passion. Like I just with what they gave up to get Lance, and he's basically been crowned. I think that Lance hasn't had a chance to show what he can actually do. I think that we need to see a larger sample size to say that Purdy is the better quarterback, because like I said, he hasn't gotten the same game plan that Purdy and Jimmy get. They're doing QB runs and making him do option plays, and I mean that's how he got hurt. So it is what it is. Like I just want to see him get a fair shake at because he does, from a talent standpoint, he has. I mean, the ceiling is way higher for him than Brock Purdy, and not to say that Brock, not to take anything away from Brock, because Brock obviously he manages the game excellently, and at least in this last two games, and obviously the man has balls of steel. I gotta say that, like, because he took some shots in this game and still put the ball on those receivers. So not saying anything against Brock. It's a great problem to have. Can we say that? Like it's a great problem to have. It's we who doesn't want a great either way, you're gonna have a really good backup quarterback. But I personally think that this is Trey's team, and that he will get every opportunity to keep that starting job. Like now, if Brock completely outdoes him in training camp and completely outdoes him in preseason, and Trey comes out the gate struggling next season, then okay, I could see it. But at this point, right now, I still think it's Trey's team, in my opinion. Like we can always disagree on everything. We're gonna disagree on a lot of things, but it is what it is. But I appreciate your passion. Appreciate the passion, and I appreciate you coming in and bringing your comments. Like, but yeah, absolutely agree with you here though, Josh. Niners kicked ass. It was a great game. Great game. Um, the but I would say that this game, man, I mean, it's hard to go away from Purdy when you think about this game, because we were so, I mean, he was the focal point. Everybody was talking about Purdy all week long. So this was a perfect opportunity. And I think this is the biggest reason why I'm so enamored with the whole idea of Purdy, is that this man they were giving him all the kudos all week. It was a perfect opportunity for him to just rest on, like think that, oh well, I got this in the bag, and come out and lay an egg. He had every opportunity to do that, and he didn't. He came in and he was prepared. He was prepared. He put the ball on time. He took shots, still got the ball to his receivers. Like he commanded the huddle, that you saw his teammates just loving every second of it. Like and that is not something that is there for every quarterback. And of course, a lot of it is because the kid's young and they're happy that he's doing well. They want him to do well, obviously, but it it's just it would looked a little bit different. And I loved it. And but from a receiving standpoint, I mean, now granted, he only got to throw 21 times and he had 16 throws. Uh Debo and George Kittle got the majority of the targets, and it was it goes against the narrative. Everybody was talking about, is George Kittle ever gonna be able to break out? I mean, they you saw them trying to get him going. They put him on a sweep. They put him in screens. But the defense was just keying on him. They were not letting him get away. He had 4 catches for 28 yards, and but I mean, it just seemed like the defense was really keying on the screen game, and because it's Brock Purdy, they assumed that that's what you're going to do, tunnel screens, and they thought that I'm sure that they thought that it was going to be a lot of short stuff, which it was. But when it came time for him to air, like to Croc's point, and everybody knows this from Croc, I want to make sure I give him the credit. But it was when it was time for him to air that hoe out. That's what happened. That's what happened. You saw Purdy. It is. I mean, he really. I mean, that CMC throw. I keep going back to it, but that was just a beautiful throw. Um, so Josh wants to know, do the 49ers win out against the mighty Seahawks, Commanders, Cardinals, and Raiders? If they play like today, I don't see any of these teams beating them. The Commanders may give them the only team that I see maybe giving them some run is the Commanders, just because the Commanders do have a defense. You got to they have a good defensive line, and that'll be an interesting matchup. But the rest of them, I'm expecting the Seahawks, even though it's in Seattle, I'm expecting them to win that game. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting few days, because we have another game on Thursday. It's a short week. We have another game on Thursday against the Seahawks, and I expect the 49ers to win this game. Seeing what I saw today, if they come in just with that game plan, I don't think that there's many teams that will be able to beat them. And honestly, KC, I think back on that KC game, and I would have liked to see play that game with Purdy at quarterback. It's crazy that I'm even saying this, but but I would have liked to see us running the offense with Purdy against KC. I just think that it might have been a different outcome. And but I digress. It is what it is. But yeah, I think that the Raiders are going to get beat down. The Cardinals, they've shown that they don't have anything for us. And I think that game's at home for the 49ers also. So yeah, the Seahawks, I don't think have anything for us. So even though it's in Seattle, I think that the 49ers, unless Purdy comes down to earth, and I think that everybody's waiting for that to happen. Because I still think that he's going to have his ups and downs from time to time. He's still young. He's shown us a lot, but he's still, because he hasn't really shown us a lot. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And us being 49er fans, we're kind of on pins and needles waiting for the worst to happen. But hey, it is what it is. And yeah, John, I share your sentiment. I think I'm confident. This is the first time a part of the season where I can honestly say that I am confident going into that stretch of games. Would I be shocked if they had a letdown against the Commanders? No, but I expect them to win going forward, if that makes any sense. So, but I appreciate you all coming down. This is I appreciate all of you, all the people in the chat, everybody coming to watch my instant reaction. Obviously, huge win for the 49ers. And it's a huge win because this was one of those games that we had early on in the season that we had circled, thinking that this could be a possible loss. So in that vein, the 49ers are what now 9-4, and they're 9-4, right? Yeah, 9-4. And this puts them in really good position going towards the playoffs. We got 4 games left, and let's get it. I'm so stoked about this win. My wife had to be going crazy. I drank water throughout the whole game, just because I knew I was going to have to get on this show after the game. And last week my voice ran out because I was yelling and screaming so much. But once again, I appreciate you guys coming in. Remember, hey, I got to mention my guy, Matt. Matt, this is the first time Matt's ever gotten into my show. He's supposed to be my buddy. Supposed to be my Facebook buddy, bro. And this is the first time he's come into my show. I appreciate you though. And he wants to know what the status of Debo. When I find out, y'all will find out. And it is it is what it is. But from what I understand, it was an ankle. It wasn't a knee. It looked like it was a knee, but it looks like it's from what I heard, it's an ankle. So we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, it's just like I said, Debo does not make or break this season. I think that he obviously is a huge part of this team, and from a locker room standpoint and from a team aspect, from a team camaraderie aspect, he's a huge piece, a part of the culture of this team. So that's, I think, bigger than anything. That is the biggest part for me that will be missing. But yeah, also as a player, Debo is a guy that teams have to take. They have to find a way to stop him. And it is what it is. And I think that the last couple of weeks have been great, showing what Debo can do when the offense is being run properly, and Brock is just giving those layups to those guys and just letting them do what they do. But hey, Twin, appreciate you coming in. Like, that's my guy, Twin. Make sure you check out his podcast. He's got the Bearded podcast with his brother, and also he's got his brother has he has a Cowboys podcast. I mean, if you're if you like just NFL period, I love listening to everybody just because it's I like getting hearing other people talk about their team so that I can get a more, because God knows we do not hear what we need to hear from the ESPNs and the Fox Newses. So, but like I said, appreciate you guys for coming in. I'm going to get out of here and go finish cooking dinner for the fam. And, but hey, one more time, appreciate you guys coming in. Make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you tell your friends to tell their friends, and then their friends tell their friends about the podcast. And I don't care where you get it, whether it be YouTube, where Facebook, whether you watch the clips on Instagram and TikTok, whether you listen to the audio version on any place where you get your podcast. I don't care where you get it, just get it. But we're going to get out of here. And once again, we go and finish it off with how I always finish it off, in a big Go Niners.